Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into the world of Agatha Christie today,
Yeah.
but with a twist.
Oh, a twist.
We're going beyond the usual suspects, Poirot, Miss Marple, those guys. This time, it's all about the other characters. The ones, well, you don't usually hear much about.
The supporting cast. Oh, that's fascinating. It's amazing how much depth Christie gives those characters.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. They're not just there to, move the plot along. They have their own, what's the word? They've got their own baggage.
Absolutely. Secrets, desires, complexities, they all add these extra layers to the stories. Keeps you guessing.
Right. And for this deep dive, we've got excerpts from some of Christie's best, like, let me see, a Zensia, a Karga, and a Fila.
Oh, great choices. Full of those interesting personalities.
So what we're going to do is, our mission, I guess you could say, is to uncover, well, what makes these characters tick? What makes them so relatable? And maybe even a little unsettling. Ready to dive in?
Absolutely. Let's do it. Let's start with what I call the allure of the ordinary. I mean, the detectives are great and all, don't get me wrong, but it's those supporting characters who are often just, well, normal people, and that's what makes them so interesting.
Yeah. Take Joan from Ausencia, for example. She's dealing with her sister's disappearance. Not solving crimes, just dealing with it.
Exactly. It's so personal, so raw.
There's this passage, it really stuck with me. She talks about feeling trapped in her own home, haunted by guilt, like it was her fault. I never felt that kind of weight. When something goes wrong in your family, even if it's not your fault.
Oh, absolutely. That feeling of responsibility, I think a lot of us can relate to that. And that's what makes Joan so compelling. It's like she's living in her missing sister's shadow. You know what I mean?
They do. It makes you think about those expectations we all have in families.
Definitely.
But this idea of, hidden depths, it makes you wonder about those characters who seem, well, innocent on the surface, like Laura in Akarga.
Oh, Laura, she's a fascinating case. She seems so innocent, right? But there are these hints. It's like Christie is leaving little breadcrumbs, little clues that Laura might be more, well, calculating than she appears.
There's that line. It really struck me. She's watching Henry court her sister Shirley. And then she concluded calmly that her sister was being courted. That calmly, it's just almost creepy.
Right. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is Laura really that innocent? Or is Christie trying to tell us something?
It's like she's playing a game with us, the readers.
Exactly. It's that unreliable narrator thing. What we see from Laura's perspective, well, it might not be the whole truth.
It's like those puzzles where the pieces keep changing.
Yes, and Christie does that a lot. I mean, think about her other books. You're constantly trying to stay one step ahead, trying to figure out who's pulling the strings.
It keeps you on the edge of your seat. Now, speaking of pulling strings, it makes me think of Sarah from Aphila. She's trapped, right, in this awful relationship with Richard. And throughout the book, she goes through this incredible transformation.
It's not just about leaving him. It's about her finding herself.
Yeah. And there's this powerful scene where she finally confronts him. She says, "It's no use. I can't stand this." It's like she's breaking free,
Yeah.
Like finally finding her voice.
Those moments of quiet courage, they're the most powerful, I think. It's not always about, big actions. It's those little acts of defiance. And those are the ones that really change us.
Exactly. It's about those moments where you have to stand up for yourself, even when it's scary. And Sarah, she shows us that strength can come from the most unexpected places. But this whole idea of observation is not always about solving crimes, right? Think about Joan again. She has to become, her own detective.
Oh, that's so true. It's about paying attention to those little details in life, even the mundane ones.
Like she's trying to piece together a puzzle,
Yeah.
but the pieces are her own life.
Right. And that's a skill we could all use, not just for solving mysteries, but for understanding ourselves, for understanding the people around us.
It's like Christie's saying, we all have the potential to be detectives in our own lives, We just have to open our eyes and really pay attention. Speaking of which, who better to guide us on this journey of observation than Mr. Satterthwaite from The Mysterious Mr. Quinn?
Mr. Satterthwaite, he's like that friend who always notices the little things that everyone else misses.
He's drawn to the unusual, the unexplained, which is why he's such a good match for Mr. Quinn.
They're like two sides of the same coin, one grounded in reality, the other, well, shrouded in mystery.
There's this quote that perfectly captures their dynamic. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. Extraña criatura este Silvio Quinn, con don de mostrar a los otros soma luz totalmente diferente, coisas que já sabíamos. So Mr. Quinn has this ability to make you see things in a new light, things you already knew but never really understood.
And Mr. Satterthwaite, with his sharp eye, he's able to grasp those insights. It's like they need each other to see the whole picture.
There's a twist.
What's that?
It's like Mr. Satterthwaite. He's like Watson, seemingly ordinary but vital to the detective's brilliance. But with Mr. Satterthwaite, there's this hint of mystery. We never really know what his true motives are.
Ooh, that's intriguing. Makes you wonder if he's hiding something.
It's like Christie's reminding us that even the most observant people have their blind spots.
And that sometimes the best insights come from those who are willing to, question their own perceptions.
Exactly. And that's what makes these supporting characters so fascinating. They make us question everything, look beyond the surface, and realize that truth. Well, it's a lot more complicated than we think.
They challenge us, don't they, to look deeper, to consider different perspectives.
They do. And in a way, they remind us that we're all complex individuals. We all have our own stories, our own struggles, and our own moments of brilliance.
And that even the most ordinary seeming person, well, they might just surprise you. It's funny, isn't it, how those seemingly minor characters, the ones who aren't, solving the crimes, can really stick with you.
It's like they, how do I put this? They hold up a mirror, not literally, of course, but they show us how all these things shape our choices, like societal pressures, personal desires, even just bad luck.
Ooh, absolutely. And sometimes they bring a little bit of, lightness to these dark stories.
Speaking of lightness, we can't forget about the characters who bring the humor.
Yeah.
Like Ariadne Oliver, the crime novelist, always a step behind Poirot.
Oh, Ariadne, she's a force of nature. It's like Christie's having a little fun with the whole genre, But at the same time, she uses Ariadne's, what's the word?
Quirks.
Quirks, yes. She uses those quirks to show us that sometimes you gotta think outside the box.
She's like a reminder that the best ideas can come from anywhere. And let's not forget about Tommy and Tuppence from The Secret Adversary.
Oh, they're fantastic. A real dynamic duo, always getting into scrapes.
It's like Christie saying that even when things are dangerous, there's still room for laughter and for adventure.
Their banter is so witty,
Yeah.
and they're always challenging authority. It's refreshing.
It is. But sometimes Christie throws in these twists of fate, coincidences.
Oh, absolutely. She was a master of that, making these random events seem, inevitable.
Like in The Mysterious Affair at Styles. The whole case hinges on these coincidences, mistaken identities, and one tiny detail.
It's brilliant how she makes it all come together.
It makes you wonder about those hidden connections in life, those unseen forces that shape our paths.
It does make you think. But amidst all the suspense, Christie also gives us these moments of insight.
About human nature.
Exactly. And her supporting characters, they often reflect the norms of the time, the prejudices, the dilemmas.
It's like she's making us examine our own beliefs.
Take the murder of Roger Ackroyd, for example.
The narrator, Dr. Shepard.
Yes. Turns out he's the killer.
Talk about a twist. It makes you realize that appearances can be deceiving.
Oh, absolutely. And then there's Murder on the Orient Express. Such a diverse group of passengers, all with their secrets.
And the solution. It really makes you question those lines between right and wrong. You know what I mean?
I do. It's like there's no easy answer. Human behavior, it's just...
complicated.
It is. But then there are those characters who show us the power of... gosh, what's the word? Like bouncing back? Resilience.
Resilience, that's it. It's like Sarah from The Daughter. She starts out trapped, but then she finds the courage to break free.
Confront her abuser.
It's amazing. It shows us that even in the darkest times, there's still hope. That we have this inner strength. We might not even know it's there until we need it.
It's inspiring, isn't it?
It really is.
And then in, what was it called? Appointment with Death.
Yes.
Sarah King. She finds herself in this family full of secrets, but she shows such courage.
She uses her intelligence, her compassion, to navigate it all. It's like Christie's telling us that we all have the potential for greatness inside us.
That's a beautiful way to put it. That sometimes it takes a crisis to really see what we're made of.
Exactly. But let's talk about those characters who challenge the way things are. The status quo.
The rebels.
Yes, like in The Man in the Brown Suit, Anne Bedingfield. She gets swept up in this world of spies and intrigue.
I'm just not afraid to break the rules.
And in The Secret of Chimneys, there's Anthony Cade. Seems like a carefree adventurer, right? but he's got this strong sense of justice.
He's fighting for a better world.
It's like Christie is saying, hey, we all have a responsibility to speak up against injustice.
And those characters, they inspire us to do the same, to stand up for what we believe in.
Even when it's hard. But then there are those characters who show us the meaning of true loyalty.
Yes. The loyal companions, the ones who stick by you no matter what.
Like Captain Hastings, always there for Poirot.
And of course, Tommy and Tuppence. Their friendship is such a strong part of their story.
It's a reminder that true friendship, it can help us get through anything.
It's a beacon of light in the darkness.
But you know what's really interesting? Even some of those really minor characters, they can leave such a lasting impression.
It's true. It's like they have this magnetism. You just can't forget them.
Like Flora Ackroyd in The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. She seems so fragile at first.
But there's so much more to her than meets the eye.
And in Murder on the Orient Express, there's Princess Dragomirov. So glamorous, so mysterious.
She reminds us that even in tough situations, there's still beauty, there's still strength.
It's like Christie saying that every life has a story, even those who seem like they're just in the background.
And those characters, they teach us to appreciate our own individuality, our own quirks.
They celebrate the beauty of human diversity, don't they?
They do.
So we've talked about a lot, haven't we? We've seen how those supporting characters, well, how they can be so relatable, how they challenge us. But there's one more type we need to explore. The ones who are, like this.
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
Charming and dangerous.
Yeah. The ones who keep you guessing. You're never quite sure. Are they good? Are they bad? What are they up to? It's like a puzzle.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. And Agatha Christie, she was brilliant at creating those kinds of characters, like Mr. Quinn from The Mysterious Mr. Quinn. He appears and disappears, giving those cryptic clues, guiding Mr. Satterthwaite toward the truth. But you never really know who he is.
He's like a ghost, almost.
It's like he's not quite of this world, you know? But he understands people maybe better than they understand themselves.
And even Poirot, our favorite detective, he's got that enigmatic quality too. We see his brilliance, his quirks, but his inner world. That's a bit of a mystery.
And that's what makes him so fascinating. We're drawn to that mystery,
Right.
that feeling that there's always more to discover, more layers to peel back.
Right, like we're trying to solve him at the same time as the crime.
Exactly. And that sense of mystery, it extends to so many of Christie's characters, even the villains. Think about the killer in The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. Who would have guessed? It makes you realize that evil can be hiding anywhere, even in the people we trust the most.
Scary, isn't it? Makes you question everyone.
A little bit, and then there were none. You and Owen, orchestrating all those murders. Chillin'.
It reminds us that the world isn't always, well, safe. Even in those places that seem familiar,
Yeah.
even with people we think we know.
It does. But Christie also shows us that even those enigmatic figures, they can change, they can grow.
That's a good point. Like Henrietta Sabernac in The Hollow, she seems so cold at first.
But then you see her vulnerability, her capacity for love.
It's like she's shedding his skin,
Yeah.
showing us who she really is underneath.
Exactly. And in Endless Night, there's Michael Rogers. He's not the most reliable narrator at first, but he goes through this transformation. He faces his own demons.
It's a reminder that we can all change, that even those who seem lost, they can find their way back. Maybe that's one of the biggest lessons we can learn from these characters, that the human spirit, it's powerful. It can overcome anything.
It's a beautiful thought, isn't it? That even in the darkest times, there's still hope.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Agatha Christie's supporting characters, I think we can all agree they're more than just background noise.
Absolutely. They're complex, they're fascinating, and they make her stories so much richer.
They remind us that the world is full of surprises, that even the most ordinary person can have an extraordinary impact.
So true.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive, but I hope you'll join us again next time as we delve into another fascinating topic. And remember, keep those little gray cells firing and never underestimate the power of a good story.
Until next time.